had our soccer games, and I couldn't believe that I was doing that. So I eventually had to give up soccer, even though I loved it, but I think it was just the will I had to want to get better at it.
A leaked audio clip has just ignited one of the most explosive controversies the WNBA has faced in years after voices believed to be connected to league discussions were heard threatening a strike if Caitlin Clark steps onto the floor.
Drags out Nelson Adota. Clark will fire and hit the three. Space. Connecticut everywhere. Here's Clark with Banham guarding her. Clark gets bumped, will take, and...
The recording surfaced quietly at first, shared in a private online thread before spreading rapidly across social media platforms where sports analysts and fans began dissecting every word. The audio appears to capture a tense discussion involving individuals who sound like they are connected to player leadership circles, and the tone of the conversation suggests frustration that has been building behind the scenes for months. In the clip, one voice claims that some players are ready to take extreme steps if certain league decisions move forward. Oh, and another voice responds by warning that a strike could become inevitable if those concerns are ignored. The moment that stunned listeners arrives when the conversation turns directly toward Caitlin Clark's role in upcoming league and national team plans. One speaker claims that allowing her to participate under certain circumstances would cross a line for several players who believe the situation reflects deeper issues about respect, opportunity, and league priorities. The voice insists that if those concerns are not addressed, the only way to force attention would be to halt play entirely. The authenticity of the audio has not been officially confirmed, but the reaction has been,
just feeling 100% again, and then obviously, having that confidence in my body too.
We'll go to Lou and then to Josh.
Right here.
immediate and intense. Sports networks quickly began analyzing the clip. Legal experts discussed the implications of leaked internal discussions. Us and fans flooded comment sections trying to interpret what they had just heard. Within hours, the narrative had shifted from a routine off-season discussion to a full-blown controversy that now threatens to dominate headlines. Sources close to the situation say the frustration referenced in the recording may stem from multiple ongoing tensions rather than a single incident. Negotiations about player compensation, roster structures, and international commitments have reportedly created an atmosphere where many athletes feel the pressure of rapid change. Some believe that certain decisions have been rushed or communicated poorly, creating confusion about priorities and fairness. The alleged threat of a strike represents the most dramatic escalation of that tension. Professional sports leagues rarely face the possibility of work stoppages without months of public warning, yet the tone of the audio suggests that emotions in this conversation were already running high. The idea that players would even mention the possibility of refusing to play immediately triggered alarm among league officials and sponsors who depend on stability to maintain momentum. The discussion about Caitlin Clark's involvement adds an additional layer of complexity. In the recording, the speakers appear to frame the issue as symbolic rather than purely personal. One voice suggests that allowing certain circumstances to proceed without broader discussion could signal that the league values spectacle over collective agreement. Another voice responds by emphasizing that players must protect their influence before decisions become irreversible. While the identities of the voices remain unverified, insiders say the language used in the clip closely resembles terminology often heard during union meetings and leadership calls. If true, it would mean the recording captures a rare glimpse into internal debates that usually remain confidential. Before we move on the chaos, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit like. The reaction among players has been cautious but intense. Several athletes have declined to comment directly, while others have issued statements emphasizing the importance of unity and dialogue. No one has openly endorsed the idea of a strike, yet no one has fully dismissed the frustrations referenced in the audio either. That silence has only increased curiosity about what might be happening behind closed doors. Fans have responded with a mixture of disbelief and fascination. Many listeners replay the recording repeatedly, trying to determine whether the voices truly belong to players or whether the conversation could have been taken out of context. Others argue that the mere possibility of such discussions reveals how volatile the current atmosphere might be. Analysts have pointed out that labor tensions in professional sports often begin with conversations that sound remarkably similar to the one heard in the leak. Frustration builds gradually, leaders attempt to negotiate solutions, and eventually someone raises the possibility of a drastic measure to force attention. Whether those discussions lead to actual action depends on how quickly the underlying concerns are addressed. The timing of the leak could not be more dramatic. The league is preparing for a season that already carries enormous expectations, and the sudden emergence of this controversy threatens to overshadow preparation and competition. Sponsors, broadcasters, and team executives are now watching closely for signs that the situation could escalate further. Another element making the story even more explosive is the uncertainty surrounding who recorded the conversation in the first place. Some observers believe the leak may have been accidental, perhaps captured during a call where participants assumed they were speaking privately. Others suspect the recording could have been released deliberately to apply pressure or spark a broader discussion about the issues mentioned in the clip. Regardless of its origin, the audio has already forced the league into a delicate position. Officials must decide whether to investigate the recording, address the concerns it raises, or attempt to contain the narrative before it spirals further. Each option carries risks, especially in a climate where transparency and trust are already fragile. For Caitlin Clark, the controversy places her in the center of a debate she did not publicly initiate. Her name appears in the recording as part of a larger argument about league direction, making her an unavoidable focal point in a conversation that extends far beyond individual performance. Observers note that situations like this often test the leadership structures within a league, revealing whether players and executives can resolve disputes without public confrontation. What makes the leak particularly dramatic is the raw emotion audible in the speakers' voices. The tone shifts between frustration, determination, and caution as participants discuss possible strategies. At one moment, someone suggests that a strike threat might be the only language decision makers understand. Another voice immediately warns that such a move could damage the league if not handled carefully. Those conflicting perspectives highlight the complexity of the moment. On one hand, players want to protect their interests and ensure their voices shape the league's future. On the other hand, the idea of halting games carries enormous consequences for teams, fans, and business partners. Balancing those priorities requires careful negotiation rather than impulsive action. Experts say the coming weeks will likely determine whether this controversy fades or grows into something larger. If player representatives and league officials address the frustrations described in the recording, the situation could calm quickly. If not, the possibility of deeper divisions may continue to dominate headlines. For now, the leaked audio remains one of the most mysterious and explosive pieces of sports media circulating online. It captures a moment of candid conversation that was never intended for public ears, yet it has suddenly become a symbol of the pressures facing a rapidly evolving league. And if the leaked audio is real, how close is the WNBA to its most dramatic showdown yet? Let us know your views in the comments below.